This is number 2 for the Apple and Oranges series. I want to encourage you to save this as a favorite in your browser, on your phone, on your computer, or maybe somewhere else, because you can reference this again when I move on to number 3, which will not only have me read something that I wrote, but also you will have the location to be able to read it for yourself. Remember, the Apples and Oranges series is a combination of some of my podcasts with even writings. So I want you to know that number 2, what we're going into right now, is closely connected to what I will read to you in number 3. All right. So what is the topic for the day? Well, think about this. Relationships, friendships, and acquaintances. If I was to ask you which of these 3, or you can place them in a different order from importance to the less or least of importance, how would you rank them? Would you rank relationships? Would you rank friendships first? Would you rank acquaintances first? I bet you 99.9% to 100% of you would have acquaintance as the least. Am I correct? Yes, because you realize what is involved with relationships and friendships. Yes, if you reference back to the Apples and Oranges for the introductory about that apple pie and how I went on to describe it just was a unique flavor, feeling, and want and desire all by itself. And so those apples in that case would fit right into what our friendships and our relationships as to the way that they have us make us feel. Now, when it comes to an acquaintance, it might just be something just on a whim, you see, not even an ingredient that you would need to make your apple pie. Am I correct? So, with these thoughts in mind, think about this now. If you have a relationship or a friendship, and you've already ranked them in order where you know that when it comes to an acquaintance, that's the least of it all, would you let the least of something cause you to lose the greater value of what you have in your relationships or in your friendships? For example, and I'm telling you from observation and experience, what if you had a case where you have a good friend, had a good friend for a long time, and hey, just like with anything, some days you may not like the music the person is playing, or something else they may do that may actually just get on your nerves. But you know, overall, you both just blow off it, both of yours, your foibles, you see, or human likes, dislikes, and even imperfections and mistakes, right? And that's been going on for some while, for some time. So you really can call that person your friend, or this person is really in a relationship with you. Let's say someone comes along who would just fall into the category of being an acquaintance. Certainly doesn't have the same type of standing or relationship that you have with this person, you see. And here it is, unbeknownst to you, maybe you were sitting at a desk working on something. Now, remember we talked about foibles and imperfections. And so one of the imperfections or mistakes that you and your dear close friend had to work out at times was when I'm sitting here at this desk working, don't bother me, right? Don't bother me. Don't mess with my pencil. You see, don't throw my pen to the side. Don't come and start rustling my papers. You see, this is not our monopoly or playtime to do this. And so, your friend, you see, that's sitting at that desk, that's just the way that they are. That's the way that they work, their creativeness and things of that nature, right? Okay. And so other than maybe the first couple of arguments, little arguments that you got into over the situation, you just learned to just deal with it. No, my friend in their space now, so I'm just going to leave that alone. And guess what? It actually enhanced your friendship more because you respected that. You dignified your friend's space and their boundary. And in the process, because you respected that, you went from that person even considering you a good friend to what? Over the many months or years, being a best friend. See, that would not have happened if you did not, once again, give consideration and respect the personal working type situation or boundaries that your friend gave you, you see. All right. Now, keep that in mind. So here, as you get older, you have an acquaintance come along one day who actually has, a lot of experience in living and things of that nature, but your acquaintance is just that. Okay, they may have status. The status can be a variety of things from popularity to money or what have you. But all the same, the acquaintance still would be in that category if you wanted to say as far as weight of listening, that if all of a sudden that acquaintance told you to go and interrupt your friend, who was working from this way or that way, and said, because they just wanted to see what your friend would do. From what you know, would you just listen to this acquaintance? Would you participate, if I can use that word, experiment, if you will, just to see what your friend would do when you already know what your friend would do? So the only person who really this is going to be informing, because you already by this time told the acquaintance, no, my friend doesn't like this. And yet the acquaintance tells you to do it. After all, what is this really, proving? What is going to happen? Okay. So let's say you go and you interrupt your friend, and your friend, because they know you love them, really doesn't get upset. Okay. And it goes to show how much you have both grown together. And so your friend just, blew it off, whatever you came over to do with messing with the pens and the paper. What if then an acquaintance told you to do that again? Would you go and do it? You go and do it a second time then. And your friend still just doesn't say anything. Then the acquaintance tells you again to go do it. Would you do it? Yes, you go and do it the third time, and you can tell your friend is getting a little bit perturbed with the interruptions. So, what have you done here if this is, a situation you have faced? Have you not taken the years of experience and respect and dignity that you always gave your friend that made you such best friends, and actually just taking it and giving it to someone else, an acquaintance who it was not even due to have? See, there's another term called, and I'm going to tell you what it is after I give you the result of what has happened to certain friendships. That scenario that I gave you right there has happened many times all throughout the earth. You've heard me state sometimes that there are people today who are no longer best friends or good friends because they actually allowed an acquaintance with a personality of status to come in and actually hijack the good relationship that they had. And then after that was all tore apart and things of that nature, took the friendship in return for themselves. But one thing that a lot of persons end up noticing, that when they have fallen for maybe such a plot like that, they may have gained, you see, a different friend, if you will. But they know it was not on the same level as it was with the friend that they allowed this person to come in and actually start, you see, having the person go against this individual's choices and again, personal boundaries. You see, that's what people mean sometimes when they say, oh, it was an infiltration from within. It can come from a source that is like, okay, we're in the same environment. We're in the same location, group, if you will. But just because you're in the same group or location or environment, there are people who will be your friend. There will be people who you will have relationships with. And then there will be acquaintances. All three can get along. But the key thing is they must have respect, okay? Or dignity, if you would, the respect for dignity, period, of all three situations, all right? So keep that in mind because you want to always know the difference between even apples and oranges with your friendships, relationships, and acquaintances. And to help you to get the full flavor of what you have in your friendships, I always say again, just go right back to the very first introduction of this apples and oranges series so that you can even say to yourself, yes, this is how this person makes me feel. This is how this relationship makes me feel. This friendship makes me feel. Yes. In this case, your friendships, when you listen through that whole beginning series again, are certainly on the apple level. And in this case, because people have dignity, the acquaintance will be more on the orange level. And do you remember what the person said when his friend had brought a bag of oranges back to him? That's just a thought. So keep this again close in your browser, and I will proceed to reference this again in the third Apples and Oranges series with an article, as I said before, so that you can see how this actually connects, how these things happen, and how you can also guard against them. Guard your apples of friendships and relationships. Okay? Thank you for being here. I'll see you again. Take care.